All right, hey, what's going on, everyone? It's SCG Weekly, episode 177, and
hello.
Kiwi's here,
Finally.
guest of honor, and glad you can make it. And
Fashionably late.
yeah, I mean, indeed, fashionably late is a good way to put it. But what's most important to me is that we get a nice quality episode for people to check things out and whatnot. So you are here and quite awake and ready to show us some awesome stuff, and Mushihimesama with particularly the Steam version Arrange Mode and a Maniac Mode tool-assisted run. I'm so used to like saying tool-assisted speed run, but it's just TA, and then the S is for assisted, I guess. But yeah, it's a tool-assisted run, and the whole purpose of that for Kiwi was to discover how the world record Maniac Mode score was achieved, and Kiwi's been working pretty fervently on investigating that. But before that, he had actually gotten the Steam Arrange world record, so this is going to be a bit of a combo episode for Mushihimesama, which of course is known for having its multiple gameplay modes, and it is part of its success, I think, for Cave, and also the fact that it's another one of Cave's character shmups, in which you have Princess Reiko here taking the reins of her beetle, Kiniro, I believe was his name. But yeah, the game came out in 2004, and then on our previous episode, I actually focused on the Steam release of this game, which is a really great shmup release, one of the best I think I've seen on Steam. And we mostly focused on that and kind of in general talked about the various modes and stuff, but this one's going to be a little bit more focused, with Kiwi being our guest and kind of our lead role here to understand the Maniac scoring system. And as I understand, Arrange does function pretty similarly to Maniac. Is that correct as far as like how the counter builds and the chaining and that type of thing?
Yeah, it's pretty decently similar for the most part. There are some very noticeable differences to talk about once we get into it, but yeah, it's mostly the same.
Sweet. So it should be a nice, pretty much insight into Maniac Mode and Arrange Mode here. That's going to be the purpose of this episode, and I think it's going to be pretty eye-opening, because I think, the Maniac Mode of this game, for newcomers to Cave games especially, people kind of check these games out, like, this is a very, like, esoteric scoring system, just due to the fact it's, like, you have to do, like, the various tapping of the autofire rates to build up the counters on the stuff, but that is exactly what we're going to be getting into and talking about how all that stuff works, actually seeing a little bit of it right now in the video we're showing. But the video you're watching, by the way, is from the Arrange Mode. But we are going to start out with some demo videos in which Kiwi's going to talk about some of that stuff. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask Kiwi, what got you into playing Mushihimesama, the Steam Arrange, and when did you decide to go for the world record for the Arrange Mode? And kind of what's your story leading up to this episode, I guess, is the ultimate question there.
Well, pretty much I started out with Toho as my first shmup, but my first arcade shmup was Mushi, and since it's so completely different than Toho in terms of presentation and everything, then I just immediately got really interested and drawn in, and I wanted to figure out how scoring worked. But for the longest time, all of the written explanations I found were really awful at explaining how it worked, so I would just get confused. And once I finally did figure out how the scoring system worked, I was just so excited that I finally knew how this thing worked. So I ended up putting in a lot of time trying to figure out scoring, and I didn't really click with Maniac at the time, so I went with Arrange since it was a lot more flashy and it seemed a lot more fun, and I just kind of ended up optimizing that for quite a while.
Very nice. You said you started with Toho games?
Yes, I went to 7, then 6.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny because a lot of people compare Mushi to Toho. Like that's like the stereotype throughout the years.
Yeah, I can see that.
But in any case, pretty cool. I guess we can start going into what's going on in the Arrange mode. So why don't we start just jumping into some of those demo videos, I suppose.
Okay, so these videos are going to be to try and quickly explain how counterbanking works, pretty much, for those who don't know. Now, I'm sorry in advance if this isn't very comprehensive, but it's just kind of to quickly go over it. So in this first video, I'm just showing you the differences between tapping A and tapping C. So tapping A makes you shoot out a set amount of bullets, and your options beetles fire their lasers for a short amount of time as well. In the second half of this video, I switched to tapping C, and you'll notice that it stops shooting as soon as I let go of the button, and the option lasers don't fire at all. That's because they get cut off immediately when I let go of the button. So now I'm tapping C here. You can see that they function differently.
Okay, I'm gonna put this video on like a loop here, I suppose, or something like that. Why don't you explain what counter banking actually is? Because when you're talking about these videos, we do gotta build it up to understanding what you're actually talking about here. And I'll try to get this looping.
Right. Okay. You can move on to the second video now, so that I can.
Oh, sure.
Show you how it works.
Oh, sure. You want us to? Should we do a count? Should we watch it together then, or probably?
Yeah.
All right.
Here. Sorry.
I'll get us a quick countdown, and then I'll just maybe if you just can you enable loop on your YouTube video?
Yeah.
And we'll just keep looping it so we can get this described correctly. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so in this one, I just shoot the boss like normal for a while, but when I pause the game up here, take a look at the counters on top of the mid-boss. The big one isn't important, but it's basically just the same as the counters you see in the top left of the screen, but look at the ones above it that we call the mini counters. Basically, all 4 of your option beetles build their own counters on the enemy as they deal damage, and on their own, they do nothing. But if we stop shooting an enemy and then resume shooting it, all of the points from the mini counters will get dumped into the main counter. So watch how when I resume playing up here and stop shooting the mid-boss, the counter turns red. Well, when it turns white again, all the mini counter points are dumped. So basically, I want to build the mini counters as high as I need them to be up until a certain point. Yes. And then I start tapping C really quick to flicker the counter from white to red to get those points dumped and make the counter get really high. So now you'll see it get red because it's not getting shot. Once it gets shot again, the points get dumped. And I'll get really close here so you can see the difference.
So it's the exact staggering of the shots from hitting and not hitting is what's actually activating this banking mechanic, which is the heart of the scoring system.
Exactly, and you're seeing it happen right there. So, of course, this isn't optimal. I would usually want to wait until the very close to the end of the mid-boss to do this, where I could get the most points possible. This is just a demonstration video.
Oh, all man, it didn't loop because I had it in a playlist. That's bogus.
That's fine. We can go to the next one.
Oh, sure. That was a pretty good explanation. All right, so got a separate video here.
And now I'll try to loop it. Let's see if it works. But
yeah, it doesn't work in the playlist for some reason. It's really dumb. I'm just gonna pop that out into a separate vid.
Oh, okay.
If I can do that. Okay, I've done that, and now I'm looping it.
Alright, so right now you're seeing a somewhat practical application of everything I've talked about. So I tap A slowly to get the lasers to fire continually while doing minimal damage. And then when I get the mini counters where I like them, I quickly tap C to flicker the counter really fast. Now, of course, this video isn't a good representation of what you'd actually do in a run because you would wait until near the end of the mid-boss to do it. But this is still, in theory, what you should be doing.
Like the foundation. And then like with the tapping of A, like you're actually doing that banking while the lasers are building up the mini counters, but it's just like happening slower. Is that correct? Because
right.
you're just
if you tap
tapping
A slow enough, that's exactly what happens. In fact, you can see it at the beginning of the video right there.
Yeah. Just to clarify, like that's actually like still the same mechanic, but then once you have those mini counters high enough, then it's more lucrative just to go in there with the rapid C shot, which is staggered to activate the banking.
Yep. Okay,
Awesome. That's not too complicated, right? Is everyone following along with that? It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have anything else to say about that? I got this one looping.
No, I think that about covers it. Yes, Denier, rapid A, mini counter big enough, rapid C.
And I imagine there's probably an optimal value you want to get those mini counters on. I mean, it all depends on like the timing. Like you said, you want to do that at the end of the boss, but yeah, like this is just kind of demonstrating the concept. So very nice, very nice.
Yep.
Okay. I think you had one more video in here.
Yeah, just 2 more.
Oh, 2 more. Okay. And then,
so this next one is just to show you. This one's kind of long. You don't really need to loop it. Okay. But it's just to show you that actually S-Power can counterbank as well. Not many people use this or really know this, I think. But
that's cool.
The way that the A button works in this game, if you hold down A and then let go, then your shots will be cut off immediately. So basically, with S-Power, if you just tap A, then you'll shoot out a continual stream of bullets. But if you hold A for a short amount of time, then let go, then there will be a gap and you can prevent yourself from doing too much damage. So you can see here, like, I just kind of, that was just like a first try video and I got to 230k counter. It's certainly easier than W. Now onto this one.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll play the next one.
Yeah. So you should probably pause it as soon as it starts so I can explain a few things.
Okay.
But this
the
is
glitch demo,
basically
right?
the glitch, yes. Okay. So now that the rest of you are kind of caught up to speed, here's something that none of you probably know. There's a glitch in this game where if you hold C for 1 frame and then start holding A as well the next frame, it'll only fire 1 bullet and it takes a while to resume shooting normally. It's a little hard to explain really, but the important thing about this is how it can be repeated perfectly with autofire and abused for scoring. Basically, since this trick lets you essentially do a C tap while ending on holding the A button, your lasers keep firing because of what we talked about a while ago. So remember how when you let go of your your lasers still fire for a little bit afterwards?
Yeah.
Yeah, again, so I know that this is probably a little bit confusing, but basically all this means is that you can C-tap and fire your lasers at the same time.
Okay. Cool.
So you can play the video here.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
So you'll see that once it starts, I fast forward a few frames, and then I do C, next frame, A, next frame, let go of the C, next frame, let go of A, next frame. And then this happens. It shoots a single shot, and the lasers keep firing. So if we repeat this...
Oh, I see the blink. I see the blinking quite a bit there. Yeah, wow, yeah, that's pretty fast.
Yeah, this isn't the perfect setup at the beginning here, but you can already see how important this is.
Yeah, that's like 8 times faster than like normally.
Yeah.
So that's
so
pretty
I'm
huge.
Constantly C-tapping and building my counter. I don't play this one yet. This one's secret for now.
Sure.
So I'm constantly C-tapping and building my counter at the same time. So it's literally perfect. That's what you have to do for maximum scoring.
It's really interesting that that's out there. And once again, that's only practical if you have specific rapid fire button settings, and I think you'll probably get to talking about that as we go on to the episode.
Right, yeah.
But, this is not like you can't do this like in real time. I mean, without rapid fire settings, right?
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, maybe you could get it maybe once or twice.
Oh, this one's the next one.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't play it much. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so we'll be seeing that glitch in. Was that going to be in the Arrange and the Maniac mode?
Yep.
Oh,
and
sweet.
then the next video is something that's added into the Maniac mode that we'll watch after this video.
Oh, you mean in that playlist? Okay, cool. So I guess we're gonna go to Arrange at this point then.
Yep.
Very cool. Let me check in with chat here, see if I need to ban anyone. See if there's any questions, because I had to follow along there. But I hope everyone's doing well and whatnot. It is very good to have everyone here for this exciting episode. And yeah, I'm pretty hyped. That was the best explanation of counter-breaking I've heard. So yeah, kudos. We just need to transcribe that and put that in the shmups forum.
Yeah, I've always found that it's easier to show it to people with video. I hope that made sense to most people.
And we'll be reiterating, that concept a few times throughout the episode, just as we're watching like you do certain sections and whatnot. I always like to, if we can, just to try to reiterate like when you know, things are going down. So just to really cement that concept in, because sometimes it's like you hear something once, it doesn't really settle in until you hear it a few times. That's kind of how it is for me anyway.
Okay.
I think we're pretty much good here. Alright, so we're gonna go to Kiwi's Arrange mode world record, 1 miss run, means 1 death, of 33,880,000,000 and so forth score. Really, really cool. So what was the record you had to beat to achieve this? If you remember.
That would be 29 billion.
29, cool. Do you remember who held that?
I don't actually remember the player name, but if any of you have the Xbox 360 version of the game, you can check on there. The old record is actually on that version of the game, so.
Cool. Alright, right on. Let me just try to get this fucking video centered here. Streaming's hard. But yeah, anything else you want to preface the replay with, that'd be a perfect time for it before we begin.
Okay, so there's some mechanics that are different in Arrange that I probably should start talking about. So first of all, the shot itself. So if you're just holding A and not holding C, then you'll do a special, doesn't really have a name, but some people like to call it a range shot, where your shots darken and it takes on a different property. So basically, it just makes the counter increase a lot faster. But what some people don't know is it actually makes you do less damage too. So if you're just going for survival, just keep holding C and then you won't get that range shot. But at point blank range, the best shots to build your counter are S, and the best one to build it from far away is M. So you pretty much always want to be using that Arrange shot to get your counter as high as possible and point blank everything with S and just back off with M when you have to. But that should about cover what we'll see in stage 1 at least.
Okay, do you want to talk like how Arrange just differs from Maniac, like at the surface? Like you have like the multiple options, right? But then you can also switch the powers on will, like as well, right?
Yeah, so I should probably explain that as well, huh?
Yeah.
So basically you start off at full power with 6 options, and it's pretty silly for stage 1. But
I'll play a little bit of the video here, just
okay.
Let us see it.
Yeah, you can see that full power and 6 options at play right now. And also, you can switch your shot type at any time with the push of a button, which is really fun. And the base difficulty of the game is locked to Maniac, but it actually is technically a little bit harder than Maniac because the enemies on the ground actually shoot significantly more bullets, but they have the restricted angles of Maniac still, so it makes it pretty easy for them to cage you.
Okay.
Also, there is a TLB. It's a slightly gimped Ultra TLB, but you can't skip its second phase, so you actually have to dodge that. So it's fun.
Gotcha.
And I think that covers it for the basics of the mode itself. And so you can see here that I'm just point blanking like crazy. You can encounter really high with the arranged shot. And one thing too, there is no super shot in arrange mode. If you're holding C, then you're doing maximum damage. So you don't need to worry about that.
So super shot, as I understand, is just holding C and tapping A point blank to do more damage. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And that's
So
just
they
not a
were
thing
kind
here.
enough to just build that damage into the main shot. So it's not that they removed it, they implemented that damage.
Interesting.
So now there's something important to note here is that bosses work are very important in this game as opposed to Maniac. So you'll see that I'm making sure to point blank this boss as long as possible. And the reason why I'm doing that is you can see I ended on maybe like 630,000 counter, something like that. And that counter will actually carry into the next stage.
Gotcha.
So it's very important what you do on the bosses.
Okay. Let's start from the beginning and we'll take it from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was just kind of showing that just so we could. I just kind of jumped in because we could demonstrate that little explanation. But let's start fresh and we'll get the heart of this episode underway here. All right, if I can just get this fucking thing on 0. All right, from 0. All right, guys, we're gonna kick it off now officially. I'm gonna pump up the Mushi tunes.
All right.
And we're gonna check out this world record run of arrange mode on Steam. All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so I should explain a few more mechanics about the game that are important, and one of them is your bombs. Your bombs are really important in this game. Not a lot of people know this without being told, because this isn't very well documented for some reason, but your mini counters increase faster depending on how many bombs you have in stock. So basically, this game does auto bomb, and it uses all of your bombs if you get hit. So basically, you do not want to die or bomb the whole time.
You said you get another counter from having bombs? Sorry, I was a little distracted there.
Oh, it's fine. So basically, the mini counters increase faster depending on how many bombs you have.
Oh,
so
wow,
if you have
okay.
0 bombs, then it's like Maniac mode. But if you have max bombs, then they just go way up.
Dang.
So pretty much, what was I going to say? So basically, if you auto bomb, then you want to restart, and if you ever bomb, you want to restart. The only place where you can bomb and still be okay is you can bomb once at, let's say, the stage 4 boss, and I actually do in this run. I kind of got too scared by the pattern, so I had to bomb. Because if you counterbank pretty much perfectly, then you can still almost max out the counter and get like the same amount of points. So you'll see that. And yeah, so here we are on the boss again. And again, I'm using S because that makes the counter build fastest. W is actually not really used in this run, surprisingly, because, we got the glitch for S power. And you only really use W for damage if you need it, or on a few places in stage 3.
There's so many options, just like you don't even need that wide coverage, I guess.
Yeah, they just fan out over the entire screen for you. Okay, so stage 2, we're gonna see your first counter bank on the Nana Bush. So I the window to do the glitch in Arrange mode in 1.5 is actually really huge. So I actually was able to have 2 autofire buttons for the glitch. One that's just a macro to press it faster because I have it set to really slow speed. One's just a macro to just press the button. So I'm using my slower speed to perfectly counterbank that during slowdown, and you can see that my counter got really huge just from that one nano bush. And we're going to do that multiple times. We'll see that I'm doing it right here again. And then just all the way down the screen.
Yeah, it's just the basic thing here is once you hover over them, they just stay closed, and you're able to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an insane amount of counter.
Yeah. So we want to do that with as many nano bushes as we can. And here comes the mid boss. Oh, that's stupid enemy. Forgot I had to do that.
Yeah, the bushes are invincible when they're closed. That's how that strategy works. Clarify
also,
once again.
Small thing about this mid boss, as soon as he spawns for like a second or two, he's actually invincible. So that's why I started off with using the arrange shot on him, because it's faster at first than counterbanking, since you don't really have many counters to work off of. So I just do that for like a second, then I move on to the glitch.
I see. You don't even kill him completely. Interesting.
Yeah,
I guess that makes more sense.
Oh, yeah, actually, this is really important. Thank you for saying that. Basically, when a mid-boss switches phases, all of the mini counters are cleared out. So you have to do all of your scoring on the first phase and just time him out after that.
That makes way more sense. Yeah, wow. Because I would always try to kill him completely in just my regular Maniac runs, and yeah, you're just getting all your score from the first phase. It just never occurred to me just to not destroy the first phase.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, I didn't milk that thing. Okay, so that nano bush I killed there, you can milk for some more counter, but I've tried it with and without doing that, and honestly, there's like basically no score difference because there's just only like 10 enemies up here. But it looks pretty cool. I wouldn't actually recommend doing it runs though. So again, we have me using S power on this boss to get the counter up as high as possible. And I'm gonna tap with W because that does really low damage depending on where I am on the screen. Probably should be using S right here actually, but the difference is so minimal it doesn't matter. I'm doing that to keep the counter from falling too far while I'm not point blanking him. And then once I get back in range, then I start using S again.
Right, because the other thing in the Arrange is that the overall counter doesn't drop as fast and not as soon as well either. Is that right?
Yes, it's a lot more lenient for chaining and stuff like that.
Well, you still need to kind of sprinkle it in and whatnot.
So you're going to see a lot of pretty unique ways to deal with these bosses in this run, because typically there's no need to do this stuff, so there's not really any videos of people doing these strats, but it's necessary in this mode, so I had to come up with some things for it.
Yeah, so they killed your counter before the boss. Is that what you're referring to here? Or
before the boss starts, your counter from the stage is cleared out. And then after the boss ends, the counter you got on the boss is taken into the next stage.
Yeah, gotcha. That's different, right? It's supposed to carry to the boss in the other mode, the regular mode, right?
In the regular mode, your counter just kind of stops at the boss, and then the counter you get on the boss means nothing. You just start with 0 counter every time in the next stage.
Gotcha. Okay, moving on.
And that, by the way, that counter bank right there is super annoying. I hate that tail. I've died so many times to it. Or auto bomb. But same thing, you gotta restart anyways.
So you have all these smaller, weaker targets, but you're still doing the banking on them regardless, because you have all the rapid fire buttons set up. You want to talk more about the rapid fire settings?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So
I know it's a lot, but
yeah. So the way that I'm using all of this auto fire is basically I just got the last free version of X Patter, and then I set a bunch of buttons to Okay, so even though it's supposed to be a program that lets you put the buttons to keyboard keys, this game lets you use the keyboard controls and the stick controls at the same time. So I just set, like, on the keyboard settings, I set, let's say, rapid full auto to this button, rapid shot to this button, and then I have X-Patter press those keys when I press buttons. So
Man,
I just have different auto fire rates on X-Patter.
You've got your like own bootleg like rapid fire set up, but like this is how you this is how you optimize the game though. I mean, I guess it's fair game. I mean, it's the PC Arrange version, and you can only play it on here. So I mean, I think it's fair.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, do you have any opinion on like the legitimacy of that? I mean, because you're kind of like taking external tools to do extra, but the game allows it at the same time.
Yeah, the way I see it is that auto-fire is completely intended in this game. They have 2 built-in auto-fire buttons, but they just didn't have the foresight to realize that 2 buttons is just not enough in this game.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
even if you wanted to have an auto-fire button for slow A-tapping and for super shot, you only get 1 auto-fire button for A, so you can't do both of those. You have to choose slow A-tapping or super shot. So I say it's completely fair game to set up an external auto-fire thing, because even on like the PlayStation port of the game, I heard that some people had like auto-fire setups that they built and then put into their stick.
That is okay. All right, nice. They also let you like set the rates for like I think the 2 auto buttons, as I recall.
Yeah, so people have been basically doing what I've been doing this for a while now, but I'm just doing a much simpler method of using a PC program.
Right. And then like, I don't know, it's hard to talk about this and what's going on here, but why don't you talk about what's going on in the boss right now?
This is interesting. So the counter in this mode of the game actually maxes out at 9,999,999.
Wow.
So
epic.
Yeah, you can get it maxed out there.
That's fucking epic.
Yeah. So
I've never seen that before.
You actually can max it out at the stage 5 mid boss as well, but unfortunately in this run, I think I get to 9,300,000. But the score difference isn't that big of a difference, to be honest. I lost out on a couple 100 million. But you still see the counter get pretty high in different places of the run.
With those rapid settings, is it like generally you have one for like distance banking and then like close quarter banking? Is that pretty much it?
Yes, actually. So you can have a faster auto fire setting if you're point blank, because the bullets disappear immediately. It's a little weird to explain, but also the shape of the boss impacts that, because let's say that for the sake of argument, there's just like one part of the boss that's jutting out really far ahead and then one part that's like near the back of the screen. So if you shoot a shot at the boss, then it's going to hit the first part, the part that's jutting out, and then it's going to land on the back part. And it's not going to really think that you ever stop shooting the boss, because one bullet hit here, one bullet hit here, and then it's never going to have time to flicker.
Okay.
So basically, sometimes you want to have a slower auto fire rate just because the shape of the boss is weird and you can't go as fast as you normally could.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's something to consider as well.
Cool. Wow. Yeah, that's really intricate.
Yeah, and you can counterbank those mantises on stage 4 as well for a lot of points.
And like without auto fire, like, yeah, you're just kind of manually gauging these same techniques, but you just have to kind of go slower, go faster, etc., and it's just like a bit more organic, obviously.
And I will say that the previous record was 29 billion points, and it was performed without any external auto fire. It was just with the 2 in-game buttons. So let me be clear, you can still get like 30 billion plus without any of this external stuff, but it's just a little bit harder to get that kind of score. So
Yeah.
don't let this stuff scare you off. If this is interesting to you, you can still just use the built-in autofire and go from there. But it doesn't hurt to just download the free version of XPattern and work some stuff out yourself as well, or
Sure.
ask me on Discord.
Sure. All right. Let's get back to the run here.
So yeah, this guy, I hate this guy. This part of the counterbank is really annoying as well. So it's surprisingly difficult to not ram into that guy there.
Ooh.
And yeah, since we got to time this out, we got to deal with this.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Looks like less
worst part
slowdown
of the
there
run.
than I'm used to seeing.
It's awful. I hate it. Yeah, so that mid-boss in particular is a very stressful part of the run because stage 3 is a huge reset point, and then that mid-boss is a huge reset point as well. So you kind of just got to deal with the fact that you're going to have to put everything on the line for a semi-consistent dodge at the end there.
Typical cave, making like the best score be like at the perfect run. So
Yeah.
annoying.
Autobomb here, your score goes down the drain. Yay, reset, fun.
The payoff is
So-
worth it though.
Yeah. You'll notice that I was using M power a little bit there. Depending on the area, M power is actually good for keeping your chain a little bit better than W power. It's hard to explain, you kind of got to feel it out yourself, but the arrange shot, like I was talking about earlier, actually does make the counter increase the fastest from a range as well. Or, sorry, from far away, like a range, not a range. So you'll see me do that sometimes in stage 5 as well. So M power does have its uses in this mode. So if you like M power, you can use it occasionally. I'm not sure if everyone knows or not, but M power just sucks in the original game. There's pretty much no reason to use it.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be a little bit better in 1.5. That's I think is what I heard, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
funny
don't
thing,
know.
1.5 M power is pretty much the strongest all around. Like it's in 1.0, M power is kind of like the best at nothing.
Oh, that strat's nice,
But-
by the way.
Oh yeah, thank you. I spent a long time on this mid boss figuring stuff out.
Yeah, it's a really good strat. That pattern's annoying as shit to dodge in the bottom.
Yeah, I have a few clever ways of dealing with this boss, so I like showing off.
Hard boss, even on Maniac.
Oh man, yeah.
I think
After
I've
this
used to bomb
boss is
him a couple
over,
times myself.
yeah, everyone bombs this boss really.
Yeah, there's usually a few problematic patterns. Oh, get this vomit here.
Now, I actually don't do what I typically do, which kind of annoys me because I wanted to show it off in this run. I kind of got cornered by, or flooded by bullets, but typically on that pattern that I bombed on, before all the tiny mantises come out, I go up to the top right of the screen and just let them shoot all their bullets. Because they're not aimed at all, so you can just completely misdirect them. And then I'll just point blank him at the top for a while and around the world a few patterns.
Love this Arrange
So-
soundtrack. So good.
Yeah, I love it. Some people think that the instruments are a little bit silly, but I'm personally a fan.
Quality. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing to note is that, like Aqua said a while ago, the counter decreases a lot slower, and it takes a lot longer for it to decrease as well. So chaining is pretty darn lenient in this mode. The thing that I like about this mode isn't that it's easy to chain, it's that it's all about getting the counter as high as possible and not really any worry about maintaining it. It's like, how high can you go,
Yeah.
not desperately cling to this chain for your life.
Well, it really like plays to the fun factor of the mechanics rather than making it so strict. Because like
Yeah.
it's all about like raising that counter as much as possible, and that's like really where all the joy comes in from the original Maniac mode, is those moments which are actually pretty sparse, you know, with the mid bosses and some of the larger enemies and whatnot. So It's a great mode to
Yeah,
start out with
definitely.
for Maniac, and plus he'll get used to the Maniac mechanics and patterns. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Even if you don't worry about all the auto-fire stuff and, you know, counterbanking the mid-bosses, you can still get a semi-decent score just from point-blanking everything.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, I mean, I haven't worked out the math in my head, but maybe like 10 billion or something.
Right.
Yeah, I love this part. So many effects in Amber. Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah, I just completely failed to kill that thing. I mean, not that you lose much score from not killing it, but it's just kind of silly. All right, and now stage 5 mid-boss. This is where where a lot of the score in this game comes from. So you'll see I'm at 22 billion points right now, and this is a 33 billion point run. So yeah, that's how much this counter matters.
Yeah, because you've built it up so much, with kind of a longer stage here. Now you can really build it.
So unfortunately, I auto-bomb here, but at this point, auto-bombing isn't important because you don't need your counters anymore. So I get the counter all the way up to 9,230,000, which is a little short of where I could have gotten it if I didn't auto-bomb, because while you're bombing, you can't actually counterbank. So I lost out on a little bit of right there, just like a few hundred million. But yeah, the score is pretty much mostly the same.
Yeah. Still got the overall
so-
counter, so.
Yeah, he's still got a really high counter to work with here. Something that I probably should have mentioned a while ago is that people generally think that Amber is worth nothing in Mushi, and that's true to a degree, but Amber is actually multiplied by your counter as well.
Okay.
So it's actually worth a very significant amount at this point in the run.
Oh yeah, you can see it adding chunks when you pick it up here.
Yeah,
Millions
it's really
at a time.
important.
Well, with the counter this big, I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna notice it, I guess, at that point.
Now, what is true though, is that Amber from bullet cancels is worth basically nothing. But it's bullet cancels specifically. I don't know why. Alright, so if you ever had trouble with this part, one strat that you can do is just stream from left to right until you kill those guys and then do that. A lot of people think that part's just like, oh, it's impossible, I just got a bomb. But if you stream from left to right and make sure that you kill all the 4 flying bugs, then you have a pretty high chance of survival. So now, scoring is pretty much over. We just gotta survive till the end, and the lives are worth 300 million each for endgame bonuses. So it can add up pretty fast, because you'll see that I have 4 lives left. So
Yeah, that's still
like over a billion
Yeah,
points.
it's still a good bit, even considering how large your score is.
Oh yeah, please look at how I'm doing this first phase of the mid-boss. You can misdirect every attack and have to dodge nothing. Phase 2 is where you actually have to dodge. And if you copy what I do here exactly, then you can dodge this pattern pretty easily.
Yeah, it looks good. The cut over was pretty slick.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, just killing the mid-boss. You'll see that this is pretty much one of the only times I use W in this mode, and that's because there's no stage after this, so I'm just gonna worry about doing damage and not raising the counter. So I kill this, and then we're on to the TLB.
Pretty nice.
So the thing about the TLB is there are a few differences. So one, his phase 2 health bar is way higher. So in return, that means that the phase 1 health bar is lower since they moved where it starts. So yeah, this phase goes by a lot faster, and you never have to deal with that one dumb attack where the bullets start spawning off of all the other bullets. And the second phase, like I said quite a while ago, you cannot skip it anymore. He's actually invincible during the little speaking section. And you should see the next phase start pretty soon here. right now. So yeah, he's invincible, so I just use S power to build the counter a little bit for a fleeting few amount of points.
I like how you can actually hit him there, though, and still build it.
Yeah.
Kind of satisfying.
I like to watch counter go up there. So you want to get as optimal damage as possible here, because it means that you have to... Okay, so if you get really optimal damage, then you can actually no miss, no bomb this next section, because you can kill him before like the next phase starts, but that's really difficult to do.
Is the movement up there random with the boss then, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it really messes up this too.
I see why that'd be a problem, because yeah, you missed like a bunch of your laser back there. Now you're playing Touhou.
Yep.
Like, this is what I think. Yeah, when people compare it, it's just like, yeah, you get those weird, crazy patterns. Just like bullets everywhere around you.
Fun fact, there's a safe spot there. Okay, so this final phase, very different from Ultra. It is technically dodgeable. I figured out better ways to dodge it after this run. But yeah, it's kind of silly. If you watch
you dodge this pattern.
If you watch my, what was it, Shmup Slam 2 run of this game, I actually dodged it like 3 times in a row. So if you want to see the pattern actually dodge, just skip to the end of that one.
Nice.
But yeah, the basic strategy here is just bomb when the pattern is a little over halfway down the screen, go into that safe spot, point blank W.
You need to get in the safe spot. I guess that's the idea there.
Yeah, like Jamer said, I don't know if I already said this, but this pattern is completely different from Ultra as well. And that's the run.
Gotcha. Yeah, epic run. Good job.
Thank you. Good mode. And now you can see how important that life bonus is at the end of the game.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, it was pretty good. We got a little carried away a couple times talking about some of the mechanics, but yeah, that was still very, very educational, I think, and I think we had some good commentary on that, on the strats.
Yep.
Any post thoughts for that run before we jump into the Maniac tasks?
Okay, so one thing I should say is the way that I did the glitch in that run is I had my autofire set to trigger time. Okay, so for rapid shot, I had it set to trigger time 7, interval 1, and for the rapid full auto, I had it to trigger time 1, interval 7. And if you press those 2 buttons together, or preferably 1 frame apart, then it'll start doing the glitch. And there's a pretty lenient window between doing that. But what I did is I have I have that really slow rate because I have an autofire button that's just a macro. It presses those 2 buttons at the same time. And then I have an autofire button that presses that macro really fast. So I have like a fast glitch and a slow glitch for slowdown. So if you were wondering how I did that, if you're like trying to figure this out yourself, then that's how I did it.
Man.
But as for the run, that's pretty much it.
We're gonna need like the secret doc where you have that all just written down somewhere.
Yeah. If anyone's interested, I can just dump my autofire settings in Discord for X pattern, stuff like that.
That'd probably be appreciated, I think. We can
Yeah.
maybe have that in the YouTube description or something as well if anyone wants to mess with that stuff. We got some question from Plasma. What's the score ceiling for this mode? Does the player have any further? Do you have any further scoring goals with this mode?
Okay, so the score ceiling, I'd probably say. Okay, so considering that I lost about 300 million over this run, or 400 million. I'm gonna say it's probably around 36 to 37 billion if I were to find few new strats or implement some of the things that I found while researching the Maniac run.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So, but that would obviously be with much more crazy strats and some very task tier stuff. So the realistic score ceiling, I would say with a really, really good run would be 35 billion. But 36, 37 is like, that's just me theorizing. Yeah, this is probably possible with some new strats.
Gotcha. Did the previous world record use the glitch?
Oh, thank you for asking that. Actually,
Jamers.
that is how I figured out about the glitch. I didn't. I think I heard a few people saying that like Pearl and I discovered this glitch on our own, but I had someone, Plasma, actually pull up the replay of the Arrange world record on Xbox, since I don't own the Xbox version, and he showed me some key parts of the run. And I just noticed that he was somehow C-tapping with S-power and shooting his lasers at the same time. So I was like freaking out, and I reverse engineered it on the port with autofire settings until I got it consistent. So yeah, I figured out the glitch from that replay.
Damn. So you just saw something was up there, and you just kind of tinkered around. Yeah, it's pretty impressive, man.
Thank you.
Well done
Actually,
on figuring that out.
Fun fact, before I knew about the glitch, I had this super scuffed strat. So basically, if you spam the shot change button fast enough, then your shots will stop firing. So if you hit this sweet spot of timing to spam the shot change button, then you can kind of get the same effect as the glitch, where you're like shooting out a couple bullets here and there, and you're still shooting your lasers. It is really dumb, and it makes it an awfully annoying noise, but that's actually what I did before I found out about the glitch.
Huh. Funny. I guess that would be like a hint towards the actual glitch, I guess.
Yeah. All right, so I guess it's on to Maniac.
Yeah, I'm just perusing here if there are any other random questions.
All right, let's see. Anyone
Plasmo
else have any
asked,
questions?
you sure this isn't TAS already? Nice compliment there. Yeah, that was an excellent run. I think we're good to move on to our next section of the episode, and that's going to be talking about the tool-assisted run for Maniac Mode, in which you wanted to discover where all the points were coming from in the current Maniac Mode rapid-fire world record score.
Right.
Yeah, feel free to preface this before we get into the run.
Okay, so I showed you that video before we started Arrange Mode of the glitch, and you probably thought that's as optimal as it got, but there is one way to get even more points than with that glitch. So basically, load up that that fifth video that we haven't watched yet.
Sure.
Okay, so hear me out. Mushi, but at power level 2.
Okay.
All right, you can play the video now.
Okay, I'll start it now.
So yeah, you only pick up one power up in the game, and you counterbank, and basically you're doing, look at how little damage I'm doing. And because the shot is so tiny, you really don't have to worry about positioning at all. That's all you really needed to see right there.
So because you're low power level and using rapid fire, you're able to get an even crazier bank here, or with less damage. Therefore, you're getting a higher counter built up.
Yeah, so pretty much I can just keep the lasers going the entire time, because typically what I'll need to do is, and sorry for this kind of scuffed tiny video here, but typically what I'll do is, once it gets to a point where using the lasers longer would make the mid-boss switch phases, I would just switch to C-tapping, because, that's just what you do in this game. You start C-tapping after a while, because keeping the lasers on for too long would make him switch phases. But now, since you're doing so little damage, you can just pretty much keep the lasers going the entire time and get just like an exponentially larger counter. And like I said, hit on earlier, because the shot is so tiny and it's only one, you don't even need to worry about positioning that much because it'll just land correctly wherever you hit him.
So we're gonna see this in the upcoming replay then?
Yes.
Oh shit.
All right, so you can load up the replay now. Plasma said, how did I discover these low power strats? Okay, so I really don't even have a thought process for this. I was just like in flight school one day and I had barely no sleep the night before. And I was just trying to stay awake, listening to him. And just for no reason in my head, I just thought, wait, what if I tried low power? I can't explain it. There was no thought process. I wasn't thinking about Mushi, but yeah, there wasn't like some grand discovery.
That's pretty nice. It's yeah, I mean, there is the power level, so it's like, yeah, it must have been just somewhere in the back of your mind there. It's pretty cool. Alright. So,
maybe...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, maybe it was because I remember setting a faster auto-fire rate on the stage 2 mid-boss in Maniac. Because the power level was so low, I realized, oh hey, I can set the auto-fire rate really high for this one. But I just didn't even consider, not picking up any power-ups. That was like completely out of the question. Because it's Mushi, the power-ups are huge and have giant hitboxes. What would make you want to not pick them up? But yeah, turns out it's optimal.
That's some galaxy brain shit right there.
Yeah.
Alright, anything else before we jump into this run? I know so this has been like a project of yours for a while, as you were kind of posting updates of building up the tool assisted run. So why don't you talk about like what you've done exactly to compile this run before we get into it? You know, you're with the save states, and how does that work and whatnot? Because I'm sure people are wondering how you put it together.
Okay, so basically what I did is I just went from start to finish in the game. I just kept making save states, reloading them until I got to sections where I wanted. This isn't like a, let's say, DDP task where I went frame by frame, every frame, to like get things as perfect as they possibly could be. This was because I don't really know how to do that. I just like recorded a whole session of me save stating a run until I got things as high as I could get them, and then I edited the video together and spliced together all of those attempts. So the audio of this run, and I'll make it public on my channel as well after this video, but you'll notice that the audio of this run isn't the best because sometimes there's like weird jumps in the audio here and there, and that's because you know how when you load a save state in MAME, you hear like the same sound repeated a little bit? Well, yeah, that carries over for a few frames to the next cut. So
is that going to be particularly annoying, or should I maybe put on some other music?
Oh, don't worry. I lowered the volume by 11 decibels every time Reiko screams, so you don't need to worry about that.
Alright, fair enough. So it's pretty full effect, tool assisted here. Like, there's kind of no holding back. You said you spliced videos together as well.
Yep.
Okay, and that's just to see the theoretical possible. Like, it's all supposed to, like, it all can technically flow together in theory, right? Or is the splicing actually, like, is that?
Yeah, it can flow together in theory.
Okay.
This should just like look like a normal credit.
Okay. Cool. Well, suppose we can get this thing fired up here. So 3 billion points in Maniac Mode, original Mushi Maniac Mode. Yep, let me just get.
I did the Jamers thing and just started from the boot up.
It works. Okay, I guess we can count ourselves down here and get into this then, and see how it goes here.
All right, just 1 second. The video's taking a second for me. Okay.
All right.
So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. So yeah, I just decided to be cute and show the boot up of the game. Pretty
Something
much.
you didn't see very often.
Yeah, because not many people really use the MAME version of Mushi. Oh, I should mention this is on MAME. And the way that I did this was at 56% blitter and 37.6% CPU. You can turn on the CPU underclocking in the cheats menu. And this actually gets you some pretty surprisingly arcade accurate results. Like Pearl and I said, this is probably around 90% accurate.
Very
so
nice.
if you want to try that out for yourself, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering what that CPU was. So that's a cheat, huh? I didn't know that. I didn't see that information readily available.
Yeah, so you're like underclocking the internal CPU to make it more like the power of the arcade board. One thing I should mention though is that I actually okay, so the way that the CPU slider in this game works, in MAME works, is it defaults to 100% no matter what you have it set on. Just because like I don't know why every time you start up MAME it'll default to 100% even though it says what you have it set to. So you gotta like toggle it left and right to get it to actually go to what number you have it on. Bad explanation, but I think you probably kind of know what I mean. So in this run, I actually forgot to set the CPU slider back to what it should be by like toggling it really quick. And I remembered it at the second half of stage 4. However, the only places where the CPU slider matters is in the beginning of stage 3 and second half of stage 4 onwards. So there's not really much accuracy that was missed here. Stages 1, 2, and most of 3 are still the same.
Kind of surprised to see that you're actually intentionally letting the counters drop and such in this stage 1 here.
Yeah, so one thing that I should mention about low power is that it is incredibly hard to chain because it becomes easier and your chain goes up faster depending on what power level you're at. So since you're at this power level for like almost the entire game, chaining just regularly in the first half of the stages is incredibly difficult and not really lucrative. So a lot of it comes down to just like getting as many points off the counter banking as possible.
Oh, wow.
And then maintaining that chain as hard as you can throughout the rest of the stage.
It's such a different approach style than you'd expect. Like, would you do that in a non-task run as well?
So yeah, you do counterbank in some sections in a non-task, like you mean like a non-task of Maniac with low power?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, that's just the nature of the game. When you have low power like this, it's just incredibly hard to keep a chain and build it.
So it really does come down to the mid bosses and whatnot. Then.
Yeah,
and
there
then,
are some
the nano
parts
bushes
like
here,
right here where I can counterbank.
Wow, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and you'll notice that the counter gets really high just from that alone. So the first half of some stages still can get you some points, but it's mainly from the mid bosses.
Are we still seeing like the elaborate kind of rapid fire setup from Arrange here?
Yeah, so I'm actually using the built-in MAME Autofire, and that's the entire reason I started using MAME in the first place, was because the autofire settings were just much more precise and let me do things that simply using XPatter wouldn't let me do. So also Trap made a mod of this autofire for me. Thank you, Trap, so much. It made things so much more consistent, where he gave me an added option to put in a frame delay. So like I basically just delay the A press by 1 frame and it's 100% consistent. So yeah, that's why I'm using MAME. It's just so much more consistent to use all the autofire stuff. And I have like a lot of macros to do different things. So everything's squished down into 8 buttons, but I have like the glitch at 10 hertz and 12 hertz and 7.5 hertz for some really specific slowdown stuff. I can explain this more as it's happening.
Okay,
but
so yeah, still using the glitch and whatnot. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So
was a cool sequence.
yeah, you'll notice that my counter is very high for Maniac Mode. If you've ever played Maniac Mode, you'll know that like just having 300k here is really high and really hard to do.
Yeah, I probably would have had like 50 at best.
Yeah. So also I switched to W power, and that's the only power up I pick up in the game. And I switched to formation because it is just impossible to score on stage 3 without W and formation. So you'll see here that I don't kill the legs of the mid-boss, and that's because this is a little original mode trick that actually does carry over into Maniac. You get a few million points more for not killing the legs than killing them.
Oh, wow.
Which is just like a little secret bonus in this
Nice.
game.
The secret score trick.
Yeah.
Very cool. Never knew that.
Was pretty cool.
I always, figured, well, playing it non-TAS, obviously, like, you destroy the legs because that's less bullets coming at you.
Yeah.
Some of those patterns are a little tricky. The little skips is kind of funny, actually.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that?
Yeah, there's some... I spliced the videos on the correct frame, but the audio from the previous save state like still carries over, so you'll hear some funny stuff here and there. This part, I hate this tail. So there, just sometimes randomly your counters will just get cleared out from that tail, and I don't know why. I've come up with a more consistent strat to keep that from happening, but your mini counters just sometimes... maybe. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So yeah, right here I keep these little Zako spawners alive for as long as possible. I don't keep them alive through the entire run because I've come to realize that it's incredibly impractical, even though that technically means that it would be more optimal.
Those things flank you so easily normally.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. If you leave them alive, then you're just pretty much left with no space to dodge later on.
Well, that formation's doing the trick with the protection there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And this part right here is incredibly precise. So I line up Reiko's legs with the end of that little horn there to get a perfect counterbank, and then I switch to this at the correct timing. So I was using 10 hertz glitch and 10 hertz C-tapping here to get this result. But 160k counter by now. So it's pretty huge, but very hard to do. And right now I'm using 30 hertz C-tapping to keep the counter alive.
That's where the scoring just really picks up on the run, because you have all these mid-sized parts that have a lot of HP, so you can really start to work in the scoring system.
Yeah, it's really cool the stuff that you can do on this stage. And now I use 12 hertz C-tapping because you need to get a little bit more damage to account for only having one option on that side. It's a little hard to explain, but 10 hertz on the right, 12 hertz on the left.
So on the side there, just to get that minimal damage, so you can keep it alive long enough to build up those counters. Meanwhile, just glitching the shit out of it.
And then here's a TAS tier dodge.
Oh! World of Long plays.
Yeah, I'll just make this an unmarked TAS. Remove TAS from the title there. No one will suspect a thing.
With the player name. Don't.
Yeah.
You gotta include that.
Performed by Kiwi.
Technically it was performed by you, so it's legit. Anyway.
Yeah. That's a pretty hard link what I did there to keep the chain into this section. And then you can see that I used the glitch a little bit here to raise the counter as much as possible. And you may think, if like you're thinking big brain here, why did I kill all those parts when they spawned Zakos when I could be milking those things? And the reason is because this part right here is so lucrative. You just have to speed kill those things to start building this as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Because look at how high the counter gets.
Yeah, the thing just has so much HP. So you just, even in the original mode, it's just like you're just building that crap up, and then once you got it lower in HP, you go and take out the sides and whatnot.
Yeah. And you can see we're at our first 1 million counter in Maniac Mode.
God damn.
So yeah, that's pretty worth heaps.
Whenever like, to me, this is one of like the signature parts of the game. Is just that getting that one up, and the big counter there is just like it's just so good.
Oh yeah,
It's one of the best parts of the game.
And since what you do on the bosses, like I was saying in Arrange earlier, what you do on the bosses in Maniac really doesn't matter. I just kind of bomb here to kill these boss parts because this boss has so many parts on its wings. I just kill those things for a little bit more points. And then I'm actually going to be dying in the start of the next stage to switch back to S power. Because if you didn't know, the way that shot types work in this game is the shot that you choose in the beginning of the game is the shot that you'll default to once you die. So even if you switch it later on in the run, next time you die, you'll go back to that shot type. So I do not want to pick up another power-up because that'll make me do too much damage. It'll change the shot. So I just got to die to switch.
Oh, so you actually selected S? I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, you can change with the power-ups, but they do take a while to change. And the options.
Oh yeah, the options. Oh, that was intentional, by the way.
Right.
That left arm, I don't know really what else to call it, but the left arm in stage 3, where there's that option power-up carrier.
Yeah.
If he just screws you over with RNG and it just moves directly down, there's pretty much nothing you can do. It's almost like a reset because you'll get a formation option and it'll mess up scoring.
You can't just destroy them like at a certain like time to get them to move in the right way, or it just bounces around randomly. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely for it to happen since it has to go directly downwards in like no angle deviation. But sometimes it does happen and it's really annoying.
Alright, so what's going on here?
So what's going on here is this is one of the stages where you actually can chain in the first half a little bit.
And you're wait, so you're still power level 2? Am I right about that?
Yes.
Okay.
So I've only collected one power up, and you actually want to kill that one little swimming beetle on the left there to stall your counter. It's way past. It's hard to explain since it already happened, but if anyone's watching the beetle and they're wondering how I did that link, they can rewind, I guess. All right, anyways, this is where it really matters, the counter banking. So right here, you'll see that I'm actually continuing to do the glitch during slowdown, which may not seem like a big deal to anyone watching, but if you try doing that, you'll realize that it just doesn't work. And I had to come up with a really weird 7.5 hertz autofire rate to get it to function correctly. I'll touch on that more later, but yeah, look at that counter, 1 million on stage 4.
Oof. Wait, why is that mid-boss just going away after the first phase is dead? What's going on there?
So after a certain amount of time, the mid-boss times out and he just like leaves the screen. So you want to get all of your scoring optimization done within that time period. Also, the footage just crapped out there for some reason in editing. I don't know why, but you didn't miss much. I just killed a couple enemies.
So you killed the mid-boss right as it was timing out?
Yep.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
So right here, I believe that your counter starts decreasing. Okay, so your counter decreases faster depending on how high your counter is. So at this rate, I believe that it loses like 500 and something per frame that you're not hitting something or that the counter isn't stunned. So it is really precise to do all of these links.
Yeah, you get like a freeze in the
lot of
counter
takes.
during the cancels, right?
Yeah.
Also,
so these
that's an
enemies give
important
me a
thing to
little
know.
bit of leeway. Also, you can counterbank those tails a little bit. You can see that I'm doing that. Also, what I was doing a little bit earlier to some of the enemies is I had 30 hertz C-tapping set so that I could keep my counter steady while doing minimal damage. So if you were wondering how I was not shooting my lasers earlier, that's what I was doing.
And
So just to just to say again, that is incredibly precise chaining. Like, if you try it for yourself, you'll realize just how difficult that is to pull
Yeah, it
off
looked smooth,
the
but
single
yeah,
take.
like that counter drops just so quickly if you're actually just playing it.
Yeah.
It's really annoying, actually. Because, like, you make one little goof and then it's like, oh, I just lost, like, you know, a third of my counter. Thankfully, that last section's actually kind of lenient. But with all the
Yeah, because
cancels
you got
and
all
whatnot.
those snake. You can stall your counter on the tails. So again, it doesn't really matter what you do on the boss, so just
I remember
kind
that part, that tail end of that part in my runs being kind of nice because it was usually I'd keep the counter from the mid boss in general, and it would only be like a major mistake if kind of like it felt like a lot. So I actually get some decent points in that stage 4 when I would used to do my runs.
Yeah, stage 4 is a pretty satisfying stage because there's a lot of stuff to chain off of, especially in the second half.
And stage 5 just has
it
like so much shit that like your counter is just gonna go up no matter what. Because remember, that's like,
kinda.
That's kind of how it worked for me anyway.
So you see, under normal circumstances, that's how it works. But
Yeah.
because we're at power level 2, this is like chaining hell. There's almost nothing you can do here to keep your chain for a lot of these sections. So you actually can counterbank those pitcher plants a little bit. But like, you'll notice here that my counter drops and there's pretty much nothing I can do about it. Just because of how I'm getting boxed out and stuff like that. So as a result, the first half of this stage isn't as lucrative as it would be if you were at full power. But you can still get some points just from those 2 counter banks there.
Do you know if the well, I mean, the world record run would also be playing it still power level 2 here? I guess that's what I was wondering.
Yes.
Okay, so that is the core strat, okay. Just because it's so lucrative on the mid-bosses once again, okay, and whatnot, okay.
I saw Wayward Sarah, even the task bombs against the stage 4 boss.
A question from Jamers, do bombs not affect the counter in Maniac?
They do affect the counter, so... But again, since what you do on the boss doesn't matter, I just bombed there because, you know, there's no scoring difference. But I don't bomb anywhere else in the game.
Ooh, the task final kill.
Thank you. I love that part.
Like, yeah, I too assisted that. That was me.
Alright, here's the big juicy counter. Are you ready?
Oh shit. Big juicy cancels. That's my impression of Potashu from that.
Okay, so tell me, how high, take a guess now, how high do you think the counter
How high
gets?
can you get? Okay, at least 1 million. Wait.
Okay.
Okay, at least 1 million. That's my guess.
What do the rest of you think? Quick.
And once again, that glitch is that's what allows the laser going on and the counterbanking going on, which has been going on the whole time. 1.5.
1.5 million.
Sick.
Wow, Grink was pretty close. All right, so yeah, 1.5 million counter, and you can see that we started this second half with like 1.5 billion, and the rest of the points in this run come from this section. So that counter is very important.
How high is, what was the previous highest counter from a mid boss in the run so far?
1.2 million, I believe.
Okay. So here's your big scoring.
Big points.
It's just so and the counter is so big that like even the drops aren't really denting it too much. I think you've only dropped like 80k here.
Yeah, it's really nothing in the grand scheme of things.
And there is a lot of crap in this stage, obviously, so it seems like it's maintaining decently.
Yeah, trust me. When you lose like 500 and something per frame, it really adds up quickly.
And don't these mid-sized enemy explosions also freeze the like those yellow beetles? Don't they freeze the counter a little bit?
Yes, they do.
And like the white enemy, like the white smaller mediums in stage 2, I think as well.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's definitely something to consider.
And there you go. Look at the score.
Oh.
3 billion points.
It's always satisfying when you kill like the little popcorn at the end with the high counter. And you see
I
the
love
big
it.
and you see the big points just for like the little small fries. This is like,
Albus
wow.
says, I thought Jamers was asking if the amount of bombs you have has an influence on the counters like in Arrange. That's probably what he was saying. No, they don't. Your counters always increase at a set rate.
Yeah, they said that was an Arrange-only mechanic, having more bombs. Make the counter go higher. Pretty cool. Alright, so last boss.
Yep. So it's kind of funny, the hype part of the run happened before the boss, and now we just get to watch him die.
Yeah.
This
boss ain't he ain't too bad.
So you do get 10 million points for each life at the end of the run. So you still don't want to die, like outside of the intentional suicide in stage 4. So I'll get like 40 million points at the end of this. So it's still important that you don't die here.
Just kind of flying over the sides of those arms. No hitbox there, until only the wings.
Yep.
Guess you can see it because your lasers are connecting with the actual hitbox in general, so.
Yeah. Some people don't realize that the arms have hitboxes though, or don't have hitboxes.
Yeah.
And now you'll see here, since this is a task, I just figured I don't want to bomb this. I'll just dodge it out and have this as a.
You gotta
nice
throw in the
finale.
silly dodges at some point.
Yeah. And there you go. Now we add up our endgame bonuses and we get our total score.
So, refresh this again. What's the world record? And then versus what we got here.
Oh, the world record is 2.69 billion.
Okay, so you found a lot more score through the tool assisted.
Yes.
Which is pretty epic.
Now, I will say that a lot of this stuff is incredibly precise. And it looks really smooth in the run. But like keeping your chain at the second half of stage 4 and 5 and getting it up to the degree that I did in stage 3 is very precise. There's a lot of positioning and timing involved that makes it really hard.
Yeah, so Plasmo asking, the question I was going to ask. What's a realistic goal with these strategies? And I guess going into what are you kind of expecting to find in actual runs? And have you done actual runs yet?
So in actual runs, I hope to get 2 billion, just like on my first completed run.
Wow.
Because like if you think about it, with these strategies, even if I mess up a little bit, then I'll still get like 1 million counter on the stage 5 mid boss, so that's a billion right there. Maybe like 850 to 900k on the stage 4 mid boss, and so on and so forth. So when I say my first completed run, I mean the first run that I finished without resetting. So
yeah, man, good stuff. 2 billion is crazy. I mean, what about non-rapid? Do you have any interest in doing non-rapid runs? And what would you expect to get out of that if you did?
Non-rapid does interest me, but I'm just scared of C-tapping at 12 hertz. So, I completely forgot about this. Thank you for bringing that up. Also, really quick, Jamer said, I guess it's all but confirmed. The world record is also using these low power strategies. Yeah, it pretty much has to. Do other non-max power levels give the same benefit, or does it have to be this specific level? You can still do pretty well with power level 3 and 4, but 2 is the sweet spot. Okay, so like I was saying, I'm pretty sure that optimal no auto scoring is not what anyone thought it was supposed to be. So, hear me out. Mushi, but at power level 1 with M power. Okay, let that sink in.
That's how you do it? That's how the world record does it?
No, it's not. But I think it's more optimal.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. So it sounds ridiculous, but let me explain. So the property of tapping A at power level 1 with M power is completely different than like any other shot type. So you see, the thing about it is when you tap A, you know how with W power, you'll like shoot out a set amount of bullets and then you can tap A again after that, right?
Yep.
Well, with M power at power level 1 specifically, it only shoots out 1 bullet. So essentially, just tapping A is like you're doing the glitch, no auto. So you just tap A at like 12 hertz at power level 1, and you're like doing the glitch with no auto fire. It's crazy. Like first try, I got like 600 to 700k counter on stage 5.
So it's like that's not even a glitch at that point. That's just how the game works, and you just
it's not even a glitch.
You just happen to find that because of how that power level 1. Just how that works. Interesting.
Yeah, actually, it happened because
it's not firing a burst is the point there. It's just firing the 1 bullet.
So I only figured this out because I just selected the wrong shot type one time. Then I just was messing around, not collecting the power-ups like I normally would do in a run. But when I was tapping A, I realized it was only shooting out 1 bullet, and then I just had a brain blast.
Isn't that going to be like just pacifist at that point, since you're not going to be like killing anything?
It's basically going to be like
what the fuck?
Yeah.
I mean, you have your options, right? I mean, those do some damage.
Yeah, it'll look pretty similar to the task run that I did, like the routes, but it'll be a lot harder since you don't have auto fire for like 30 hertz and stuff like that.
Crazy. So, what about, like, do you know about the non-rapid world record, like what that's like? I mean, that uses W power and such, doesn't it?
Yeah. So, the no auto world record, I think that it's still the super play that's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure. It's like just over 1 billion. And I really think, first of all, I think that the
1 billion,
no auto, I think that the no auto fire and the glitch category should be separated because it's just such a completely different way of playing the game, all 3 of those. So I don't think this should be compared to like the auto fire world record that doesn't use the glitch.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in an arcade, unless they had like specific buttons set up all for that, that stuff, that's not going to be standardized for players at all.
Definitely.
So you got to think about standards.
So I think that this should be compared differently to all the other runs out there. But yeah, back to no auto. It does kind of interest me trying it out, but I definitely won't be trying it out until I'm through with like all these auto fire categories.
That would probably mess up all your timings, and I mean, you'd have to play way differently. I personally like the non-auto because you're doing more like physically. And there's kind of like some organic fun to that, with like dodging and tapping crazy at the same time. I always thought that was kind of a cool dynamic that non-auto created. Yeah,
I did notice when I was trying out some ultra scoring routes in stage 3, it was just like a lot more optimal to manually tap in some places because the auto fire was a little bit inconsistent during slowdown, but I did find that it was actually really fun to like manually control the speeds while I was dodging.
Yeah, it's cool.
I know exactly what you're saying.
It's cool. Like, yeah, it's kind of like your kind of left and right brain are kind of meeting there with the dodges and like the tapping at the same time, and like you're moving around and hoping that your crazy tapping doesn't interfere with your dodging and whatnot. I always thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd mention that. I mean, I actually have not tried auto myself, so I'm biased, but I thought that was just worth mentioning because that was the way I like to play it anyway. and I think a lot of people still do that and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, the fact that the scoring system gets so taken advantage of by the rapid fire, and that you can see like, you know, the results pretty clearly, I think that definitely is a good argument for actually trying it, at least with some of the basic auto fire settings. Not even like if using XPAD or whatever and whatnot.
Right. Also, I want to say again, don't feel bad if like your score is maybe like 300 million or something in Maniac, and you think, oh, well, that's leagues away from 3 billion. Well, I'm using a glitch in low power, so I'm not really playing the game the same way you are. So
yeah, it's completely different.
Your strats and stuff are in their own category.
Exactly. Yeah, I did want to make that distinction. Like, it is quite lucrative to use those settings because it automates just so much of the mechanics and reaping the rewards and such. Oh man, I got the fucking Sage 4 mid boss going on right now from Arrange again. So good.
Oh, this dude.
So good. Oh my god, the counter just went up 1 million. Like fucking 5 seconds.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah, that particular part there on non-auto, I remember just being one of the most clutch moments, and Sage 5 mid boss. Like,
oh yeah.
It's always like that dynamic of trying to do the right amount of damage, and then also like building it up so you don't die like before some of the phases are gonna be wrapping up and whatnot. It's just super satisfying to get the ball rolling on the counters. Like, that's really why it's fun. Is you start to see the big counter and whatnot, and then keeping it, and then it's like kind of that adrenaline starts going when you're just like, oh shit, okay, here we go, bring in the points.
This is a really satisfying game once you get things down.
Then like original mode is a whole different story, but
yeah. So by the way, all this scoring stuff that we explained only applies to Maniac, Ultra, and Arrange when we were talking about it, because original mode, the scoring system is don't die, kill everything, and milk tick points. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. A lot simpler. Like, it's just, yeah, original is just like straight up just very traditional shmup, which is actually a really great thing about it.
Yeah, it
has
its audience.
Anyone can just jump into that, and the bullets are pretty fast. They're kind of fun to dodge. They're almost like Psycho style speed at times.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty epic, man. Yeah, that was awesome to have you talk about some of that stuff, and I think everyone in the chat did like it as well. So yeah, GG's on putting those together, and I think we're all looking forward to see what kind of runs you're going to be getting out now that sounds like you kind of wrapped up a lot of the research and whatnot, and you do have this video.
Yeah, we'll
the videos for the tasks and whatnot. So yeah, pretty exciting. And Gus says asks, are you working on Ultra World Record strats as well?
Kinda. Okay, so right now I'm preparing an Ultra run for Shmup Mania.
Oh shit.
And yeah, so I'm kind of learning it for the event, and I'm doing it on the port since MAME isn't allowed. So I won't be able to get as optimal as I would be able to in MAME, but I'm still hoping to get a pretty high score, maybe like 900 million or something, because I'm going to be using the glitch just with some in-game autofire. But the thing about the Ultra World Record is I don't know if it uses low power or not. So I think that if I were to use low power in like a task or something, then I could like destroy that score. But I still don't quite know if it's feasible to do that or not. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, the Ultra Mode in this, of course. Yeah, no joke. I mean, was the originator of the Ultra Mode, after all.
That classic TLB.
Yep. Alright, well, good stuff, good stuff. Plasma wanted me to mention that do believe we are going to be featuring some Pink Sweets action, Pink Sweets World Record action. Hopefully next weekend with his run. Really epic stuff. He's been really kicking ass at that game and getting some records. It was actually epic, man, because Western player getting world records. Come on now. I mean, we got you, we got Plasma, we got people doing out there. So yeah, exciting times for shmups, and yeah, feel free to come by next weekend or the next one, probably for sure. We're gonna try to get next one, I think. Just thought I'd mention that, and yeah, I just want to say thanks, Kiwi, for coming on. This is good times, and I think we learned a lot about Maniac Mode and how crazy abused it can get with the scoring, and then that freaking glitch and whatnot, and just a lot of this. Yeah, that was very entertaining to watch. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
And that's gonna wrap up the episode 177. Thanks everyone for coming by and hanging out in the chat and all that. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again soon. So yeah, take care everyone, and stay safe and all that. And we'll catch you next time. All right,
bye.
Bye bye.